Tonight,
thank you, Mr. President, for coming.
Presidential picket line. President Biden joins striking auto workers in Detroit.
Plus, time is running out. Congress is just days away from a looming government shutdown.
Look, I'm working everything we can to make sure this doesn't happen.
And racial justice and reconciliation.
Above all, love our brothers and sisters who are experiencing injustice.
A new tool for evangelical Christians.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. History made as the president hits the picket line. Thanks for joining us for Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder.
And good evening in Washington. I'm John Jessup. President Biden, now the first American president to stand in solidarity with striking union workers, joining picketers with the United Auto Workers in Michigan.
This was day 12 of the strike against the country's three largest car makers. CBN News White House correspondent Abigail Robertson is at the White House tonight with our top story. Abigail?
Well, Jenna, President Biden has long touted himself as the most pro-union president in U.S. history. Today, he put those words into action by walking the picket with UAW workers striking against Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, which makes Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep vehicles.
Made a lot of sacrifices, gave up a lot, and the companies were in trouble. Now they're doing incredibly well. And guess what? You should be doing incredibly well, too.
Biden's visit follows an invitation from UAW leader Shawn Fain to join the strike.
The companies know how to make this right. The public is on our side, and the members of the UAW are ready to stand up.
The union has expanded the strike to more than 20 states as members demand a 40% increase in wages, stronger benefits, and a 4-day, 32-hour work week.
Nobody wants to be out here. We want to be in there working. We want to be, getting parts to our customers and to the dealers. But it comes to a point where you had to draw a line in the sand.
According to the Wall Street Journal, last year, the CEOs of Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis earned between $21 to $29 million, or about 300 times the average employee salary.
Seems a little out of balance. And I do also think that, they're making so much more on cars from a profitability standpoint that it probably is time, to be able to compensate the workers fairly, for their efforts.
Syracuse University professor Patrick Penfield tells CBN News he believes the UAW demands are warranted and thinks the workers have the upper hand given an $825 million strike fund that could support the workers for weeks.
I don't think they'll get everything, but I do think they're going to get a good majority of it because I think the automobile companies are really, and it's a no-win situation for them. They need to produce more cars, and that's because just of all the pent-up sales that they have from a demand standpoint.
And former President Trump plans to address union workers in Michigan tomorrow night, skipping the GOP debate in California. In Detroit, he'll deliver a primetime speech to current and former union members, including members of the UAW.
Abby, can you talk about the overall effect the strike has had on the auto industry?
Yeah, well, this strike is targeted, and it's really going to be mechanic and repair shops that feel the brunt of this strike. Instead of these workers striking that work at various different distribution centers, these workers on strike, it's strategic. They all work at distribution centers that ship parts to dealerships. And one thing that Penfield pointed out in my interview with him is that right now, while the American people, the majority, support these auto workers on strike, that could change quickly if this goes on for weeks and people try and take their cars in to be repaired and those parts aren't available because of this strike. He warns that the American people might change their minds on how they feel about this ongoing strike. So we'll see how it plays out, but it's really the mechanic and repair shops that are going to feel the brunt of it.
Especially when the picket lines hit home. Thank you, Abigail Robertson, our White House correspondent.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers returned to Washington today, and with a potential government shutdown just 4 days away now, House Republicans have their work cut out.
The question is whether House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has enough votes to pass a stopgap spending measure that can also make it through the Senate. Washington correspondent Hillary Powell joins us now. Hillary, any new progress on a new deal?
John, Jenna, this is the first day of what will be several days of potentially tense voting with an uncertain outcome on a deal. But tonight, the House is set to consider 4 bills on spending. What is certain and for sure is that the health and safety of nearly 7 million mothers and children is in jeopardy in wake of an impending government shutdown. It's all very concerning. That is how many people rely on federal assistance called WIC. WIC serves nearly half of babies born in the United States and would stop immediately in a shutdown.
What we would see across the United States is a denial of those benefits and opportunities. In some cases, it would be literally within a matter of days after the shutdown. Clearly, during the course of a shutdown, millions of those moms, babes, and young children would see a lack of nutrition assistance.
Meanwhile, John and Jenna, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is tying border security to government funding. Now, he says Republicans are set to put forth a continuing resolution this week aimed at temporarily keeping the government funded while budget negotiations continue. That resolution will contain U.S. border provisions.
So, Hillary, we just heard from the Agriculture Secretary. What about the impact on America's farmers?
It's concerning for them, too. AG Secretary Vilsack says farm service agency offices in virtually every county in the country would close in a shutdown. Also, if you're in the market to buy a first-time home in a rural small town, we'd see your American dream put on hold. A shutdown halts all USDA-backed home loans.
So, Hillary, you talked about what's happening on Congress. Where does the White House stand on all of this? We know that President Biden would have to sign any deal that is reached.
Yes, the president is calling out Republicans right now. President Biden called them extreme and says they need to take immediate steps to prevent a shutdown. In fact, he says they already made a deal back in May when congressional Republican leadership and the Biden administration agreed to cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The president spoke to this yesterday while meeting with HBCU leaders.
Now a small group of extreme House Republicans, they don't want to live up to that deal, and everyone in America could be faced with paying the price for that. They're changing it. We made a deal. We shook hands.
Okay, the shutdown countdown clock is still rapidly approaching. A shutdown is effective beginning 12:01 a.m. on October 1st if Congress is not able to pass a funding plan that the president signs into law.
All right, Washington correspondent Hillary Powell. Thank you so much, Hillary. Well, the new lineup is set for the next Republican presidential debate with 7 candidates taking the stage. Not among them, former President Trump, who, like the first debate, is ditching this one as well. The remaining qualified 2024 candidates on the debate stage tomorrow in Simi Valley, California, are Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, former Vice President Mike Pence, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Well, with us now is Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, welcome to you. What are you watching for during tomorrow's debate?
Well, John, I think with former President Trump skipping it, a lot of attention will not be focused on the debate. I think they're waiting for everybody to come together and have a big debate so that people can make their decisions. I think the polling shows that former President Trump still has a lot of support. I think that what we're seeing here is people who's getting voted off the island. We don't have Asa Hutchinson on this one. His performance last time didn't help him. I think we're going to see who doesn't do so well as opposed to who does well and emerges from that debate with a greater standing.
Yeah, GOP presidential hopefuls not the only ones preparing for a debate, Tony. We just learned in November Ron DeSantis will take on California Governor Gavin Newsom in a red state versus blue state debate. Of course, DeSantis is running for president, but Newsom, he is not currently challenging President Biden for the Democratic nomination. Tony, your thoughts on the debate and Newsom's motivation for participating?
Jenna, actually, I think that'll be pretty exciting to watch because you'll have the left coast versus the right coast. You'll have a governor who is governing by Disney and Hollywood values as opposed to one who's building a state on moral values. I think it's going to be quite interesting. And look, don't underestimate Newsom. Governor Newsom is very articulate. He presents well. But we need to look at the policies. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity to highlight the policies that build a state versus tear a state down. I mean, California lost a congressional seat in the 2020 after the census, and they're on track to lose another 5 congressional seats. People are fleeing California. Florida, on the other hand, actually gained a congressional seat. So I think Ron DeSantis goes in with the upper hand because he has policies that are working. Governor Newsom, not so much so. He's losing his state. People are fleeing because of high taxes, crime, and all of the problems plagued with leftist policies.
Tony, as Hillary Powell just reported, time is running out before shutdown, and I know you recently posted on social media, and I'll read the quote. As the U.S. House seeks to find unity and make a way forward in the budget process, they must not jeopardize pro-life gains. What are you hoping to see in terms of protecting unborn lives with the budget deal?
Well, I've been talking to the leadership over the weekend as they were trying to work out some deals. They're trying to find a way to advance some bills, and there was some discussion about removing from the agriculture bill a provision that does not allow the abortion pill to be sent across state lines through the mail. That was put into the bill. There was some discussion about taking it out, but we made very clear that that would be a non-starter, and so they've backed away from that. I think, look, all of the gains that have been made on the life issue post-Roe, we need to continue to keep those provisions in place and continue to build a culture of life. Nothing has changed for the pro-life movement. We have to continue to win hearts, minds, and set policy that is pro-life.
All right, Tony Perkins with FRC and Washington Watch. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, John. Thanks, John.
Coming up, the role the church plays in reconciliation. We talk racial justice right after this.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back. The National Association of Evangelicals is asking Christians how they can grow in the area of racial reconciliation and launching a new resource to help. The new online tool called the Racial Justice Assessment helps Christians assess where they stand on racial justice and learn how to further race relations. Recommendations include books by Christian authors Jamar Tisby and Tim Keller and the writings of Ta-Nehisi Coates and Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. All right, for more on this, let's bring in Justin Gibney. He's the president of the AND Campaign, a group that works to educate and organize Christians for civic engagement. Justin, thanks for joining us this evening. So I'd just like to start with your thoughts on this new tool. Have you had a chance to look at it, and why now?
Well, it sounds like a great idea. I mean, the church, I think, has suffered from a lack of credibility when it comes to the racial justice issue, and that lack of credibility even affects our ability to evangelize. So I'm excited about what they're doing. I'm a friend of Dr. Walter Kim, and I know whatever he does is going to be thoughtful and surely redemptive. I'm looking forward to it.
So along those lines, you know, the names that Jenna just listed they're all considered experts, but some are also seen as toxic to some evangelicals who they say their work, they label their work as woke, erroneously or not. Justin, does it bolster the credibility of those who've done the work to have the National Association of Evangelicals recommendations, or does it potentially hurt the organization's standing among the people that it aims to serve?
I don't know that every book on the list that they're telling people to accept everything and endorse everything that's in that book, but there are even secular scholars who we may be able to take things from. We need to wrestle with what they're saying about race and their views. And so I wouldn't take that list as necessarily, I think some of the people have been endorsed, but I wouldn't say everyone on there is completely endorsed. It may just be people we need to wrestle with to better understand the issue.
So, Scripture, of course, teaches about the dignity and worth of all people. So, some might question why we even need a racial justice tool. Justin, how do you respond to those who feel like the Bible is really enough here?
Well, I would just say read your history. The Bible does not prevent us. Obviously, that's what's most important, but it does not prevent us from understanding historical context. And I think when we try to enter conversations and fix problems without historical context, we can end up making things worse. So I would say that the Bible would tell us, in order to love our neighbor the best we can, that we need to understand the prologue and the context so that we can approach these issues in an effective way.
Justin, why has it been so difficult, you know, you mentioned it right off the top, for churches and Christians to wrestle with the issue of race? Where is the rub? Why is it so hard for us to actually wrestle with the tension?
You know, I think some of us have a romanticized view of America. But if we believe in the fall, we should understand that while America may have done good things, that it's also broken in some ways. And so Christians, that shouldn't be a big deal. But I think there is part of the American church that doesn't want to admit that brokenness and reckon with some of our history. It doesn't mean we can't get better. It doesn't mean that we haven't helped and done good things in the past, but it does mean we have things to fix.
Yeah. Justin, where are some places you see signs of progress when it comes to racial reconciliation among Christians? And what makes you maybe feel hopeful?
Well, I've seen some good things on the local level, but I'll say this. Especially at some colleges, I travel to a lot of Christian colleges and universities, and I'm seeing people who are interested in this conversation, but also want to do it in an orthodox and biblical way, and that's always encouraging to me.
Justin, we always appreciate your time and your insights. We know that you and the AND campaign are actually kind of working in this space, so thank you so much for lending your expertise.
Thank you, Justin.
Well, a 6-year fight heading to court. Pro-life battle playing out in Illinois next on Faith Nation.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD, Protect Your Brain, and get it today.
Welcome back. After 6 years, pro-life pregnancy centers in Illinois finally got their day in court last week over being forced to promote abortions. The case centers on a state law passed back in 2016, forcing Illinois pro-life doctors and pregnancy centers to promote abortion regardless of their moral or ethical conflicts. A federal court issued an injunction halting the law going into effect the following year. The case, called National Institute Family and Life Advocates versus Tetro, comes after the Supreme Court ruled that forcing people to promote abortions is unconstitutional.
And for more on this, we're joined by Kevin Terrio, Senior Counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Kevin, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight. So talk to us about really what's at stake with this law.
This law is really about the government of Illinois attempting to coerce individuals who are medical professionals and pro-life pregnancy centers, compel them to say something that violates their deeply held religious convictions regarding life. They don't want to have to be forced to refer for abortion or to talk about the benefits of abortion, but this law makes them do that.
Kevin, the Supreme Court ruled in 2018 on a similar case in California that said forcing people to promote abortions is unconstitutional. I wonder, is there a different legal question that we're looking at with the Illinois law?
It's really the same question, and that is whether the government can target an individual because of their religious convictions and make them violate those religious convictions. And so we're cautiously optimistic that this court is going to agree with NIFLA versus Becerra and say that that's binding in this instance. And these medical professionals and pro-life pregnancy centers don't have to refer for abortion or talk about its benefits.
And so, Kevin, if the California case already settled this, why would Illinois stake a claim or put their foot or dab their toe in the water here?
That's a great question. Their argument is that, well, the medical standard of care already requires this, but that's what the trial was about. And we made it very clear with our experts, and their experts even conceded that no, there's no baseline thing that requires medical professionals who have a conscientious objection to abortion to talk about its benefits or refer people for it. And that would violate the First Amendment to the United States Constitution.
If the court does rule in favor of the pro-life pregnancy centers and doctors, will it send a signal to other states, Kevin?
I think it will. I think there's a really good chance that the court will rule in favor of these pro-life medical professionals, and that will further expand the ruling that the Supreme Court handed down several years ago in NIFLA versus Becerra that we've been talking about.
So you feel really good about where the court might go. Can you talk a little bit about oral arguments before the court? What were some of the questions that the justices were targeting that make you feel pretty confident that you're going to get a solid ruling here?
So this was a trial before the federal court in the Northern District of Illinois, and Judge Johnston asked some great questions about, for instance, when does life begin? And the state's expert conceded that life begins at conception. And the state's expert conceded that when an OBGYN and medical professionals are treating a pregnant woman, they actually have two patients. So they have obligations both to the mom and her unborn child, and forcing them to talk to the mom about killing the unborn child actually really violates their obligations to that unborn child and their ability to make sure that he or she is healthy.
Hey, Kevin, when are you expecting a ruling on this case?
We're in the process of briefing, and that briefing will be done here in the next couple months. And so we're hopeful to get a ruling saying that this law unconstitutionally compels people to say something against their convictions by the early part of next year.
Yeah, that brings up the point. Is this case really more about free speech and compelling speech or religious freedom, or is it both?
It's a great question. It's actually about both. And the Supreme Court has held on multiple occasions, NIFLA versus Becerra, for instance, that we've already talked about, that an individual can't be compelled to say something that violates their deepest convictions. But the free exercise clause of the First Amendment also says that the government can't target you because of your religious beliefs. And that's exactly what this law does.
All right, Kevin Terrio with the Alliance Defending Freedom, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate you having me on.
Well, perhaps the youngest seafaring mariner set sail on his dreams. That story next on Faith Nation.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Finally tonight, a 10-year-old with a love for the sea is making, get this, waves in his community.
Yeah, Briggs Kosman has been sailing for only about a year, but with his 11th birthday approaching, he knew he wanted to do something special involving his new passion. So with the confidence of a seasoned seaman, Briggs set sail on a 14-mile solo journey. All alone, the 10-year-old sailed from Massachusetts to Martha's Vineyard and back. Briggs competed in more than a dozen sailboat races his first year. He already has his sights set on his next big adventure, including a junior Olympic event.
Look at him go. You know another word for Briggs?
Courageous.
I was going to say brave. Yeah. I would have never attempted anything like that at 10.
He's clearly gifted. Yeah. I mean, he's only been doing it for a year. That's incredible.
We've got to look out for this guy's future.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for Faith Nation.
Have a great night. See you right back here tomorrow.